Are they gonna shoot missiles or something?
In this film. So, basically, guys, the crap has hit the fan, and they're in that position of should they stay in the house or should they get out of the house? And I think the biggest part when you get into, I guess you say, the climax of the movie is basically Ami wants to try to talk to Krampus or try to confront Krampus, and they're forced to go outside. And this terrible weather, it's below freezing. In fact, in one scene, one of the characters, David Kushner's characters, it's like you can get frostbite. It's so cold out there.
Yeah, just a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. And so they're running outside. But the thing is, the first thing that forces them outside is Omni. I mean, we have this big scene where Dorothy, of course, is shooting with a shotgun, which is really, really great. Okay. And they said, and then I think they yell at her, "Finish it, Dorothy." She said, "I'll be glad." And then she turns around and she sees something come out the window. She's, "Oh, shoot." and it's like, then Omni goes, "Elves." And it's these these elves that are coming to get them. And like I said, and it forces them outside of the house where they're now out in the cold, not knowing where to go. But they did have this plan to go to a snowplow and to get the snowplow, which is the plan, get to the snowplow, because that was the only thing they could come up with. And so basically they're picked off one by one on the way to the snowplow, and except for Max and one of the cousins. And that's where it ends up going. And then, of course, we see Krampus, and he's delivering some sort of punishment to them, I guess, basically like dropping them over a pit of hell. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, like this big,
fire, and it's scary, and like I said, here's what, I think a lot of people like about the film, and I like about the film, is like when it gets to Max and he's like dropping, I don't care.
Yeah.
Basically kind of thing. It just,
he's like, you can undo this. He's like, no, I mean.
Well, at first I was going to sit there, and I was sitting there because I was trying to think, wow, this is really dark. And it's like, and then he's over there, and I'm thinking, well, he's going to get everything back because he's going to say sorry, blah, blah, blah. And this is going to get him out. No. But it then fades to white, and everything's back to normal.
It seems to be one of those "it was all a dream" situations.
But technically wasn't. Because it's like he got what he wanted, his wish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm kind of glad I hate those movies where you go through all this and they wake up, it's just a dream.
I know, it's such a tease.
Yeah.
So what was the point of this movie?
Exactly. It's like Disney throwing out all those Star Wars books for not being canon now. They're not canon. It was all a dream. All Lucas's dream. Just throw it away. But no, it doesn't really do it like this. It has a different type of ending. You want to go over that a little bit with people. Spoilers alert.
So yeah, spoiler alert for the ending. He appears to wake up and come down the stairs, and all the family is there, and they're opening the Christmas presents. Right. And of course, they're all happy and like unaware of what happened. And then Max opens this little gift that is the Krampus bell.
Right.
And all of the family just looks at each other, appearing to remember like what happened. And then it fades out and it shows that their house is inside of a snow globe around with a bunch of other snow globes, probably somewhere where Krampus keeps them all of the wishes that he's granted.
But both of us, I think we both did like it. Not much you can say really bad about it, but I would say of all the Krampus films that are out there, and there's a lot of them, it probably is the best. I mean, of course, like I think it's because the Krampus myth and all this stuff, it gets popular over the internet, kind of like Slender Man and all these other things get popular over the internet, and they say, "Well, we gotta do a movie about it." But this is
my first time seeing any Krampus film, so
yeah.
I was happy that it was a really good one.
Yeah, it's spot on. I mean, it's like there's one that I believe was done with a wrestler, like a former wrestler, and it kind of got that. It's basically the Krampus story, kind of thing. Of course, I've seen I consider Gremlins a holiday horror film. I guess you would call them. The genre is, I guess you would say, holiday horror films, because they're there and they're usually lighthearted and they're scary at the same time. I mean, Gremlins, very lighthearted film, and then you get into the scary part of it. And as a kid, you love those films because, you start out with the Mogwai, which are really cute, and then they turn into, little gremlins and all that kind of thing. And there's so much comedy even in their mischief, but at the same time, you're scared too, which is really good and very entertaining. And that's what this is. It kind of feels like, I think it's like a modern day Gremlins. Like, I throw in The Gate as well. I like The Gate a little bit better than Gremlins, I would say, because it takes its horror a little bit more serious, and at the same time, it doesn't like beat you over the head with how to defeat. Because what I like is when something is defeated and it's explained, like if you shoot out rays, why does that ray come out? If you explain it to me, then I'm okay with it. But if you're going to sit there, because it's just rays, I got ray power, and you're like, well, that really doesn't help me why they died,
Right.
I hate that. Nothing. It's like one of the worst endings of a movie is, because like when you watch Star Wars, you had so many Star Wars ripoffs. And then you had Kroll was a Star Wars ripoff. And they were like, well, we can't use the Force. That's copyrighted. So we got to have our own thing. Let's call it love. And at the end of the film, they just beat you over the head. They defeat the villain with love. But it's like they beat it over your head. Like, oh, it's love that's winning this thing. Like, this is stupid. You like, I'm like,
wow.
It's a terrible ending. But it's like different with The Gate is they defeat it with love. But it's so unique how they do it, because the boy and the teenage daughter, his sister, I forgot what they call those things, but the brother and sister relationships are being damaged because she's getting older and he's still young. So they're not spending time together, but they planned when they were younger to build this rocket, right? And they shoot rockets. That's what they do when they were younger. And so they never got to do it because she got older and she was interested in boys, blah, 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 and makeup and mall and that kind of thing. And here he was, but when they defeat the evil, he shoots the rocket off because that rocket was built because of love. Now, if you're don't understand writing 101, you're like, the rocket should defeat the evil. But if you're a person who understands writing 101, you understand that the rocket was built because of the love between the brother and the sister. So therefore it defeats evil. But
was this a different Krampus film, or
this is a different movie altogether?
Movie, okay. I got confused for a minute.
But
like, I don't remember that.
But I'm trying to say that's what good writing is, and it's like with this film, the way it ends, it doesn't have that like really stupid ending, like, oh, it's love.
He wakes up. Yeah.
It's like because our love is so wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Where like it beats you over the head, and you're like, we get it. Love.
The power of love.
The power of love. Which I'm not saying anything against it, but if you do it in a creative way, then that's fine. And I think with this film, it's being creative is like how that family is important. but it's not like it's beating you over the head with it. You know what I'm saying? Like you get that preachy message where you don't want to hear it. Like, grandma, your family's important. When you get older and you lose every one of them, you'll be sorry. So it's like that grandmother, but it's done in a, creative way. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get at is it's not where it just like you roll your eyes and like, oh God, family first. I get it. Family first, blah, blah, blah. But no, it does it in a unique, creative way. How'd you feel about that? I mean,
I thought it was well executed for sure. Yeah. Especially since like at the beginning of the movie, you could tell that there was pretty much no relationship between Max and the cousins and the sister and the cousins. And then whenever it comes to the scene where he's, before he gets thrown into the pit, he's trying to compromise and be like, take me instead of my cousin. Like, so, you can see that there's development and he's like, oh yeah, family. You see everyone establishing ties throughout the movies is what I should say.
Right. And I think that it gets the point across because it's horror. Like, if you want to teach somebody a lesson, don't say everything's going to be all right. Your own demise is going to be your downfall. So why would I say that everything's going to be all right? If I want to get a point across, I'm going to let you know because of, our greed, our commercialism, or putting ourselves first is going to be our downfall. And I think, that kind of, I think it's a good way of ending something. I think it gets people thinking, maybe I ought to be less of an asshole, this Christmas. Maybe this Christmas is time for me to be less of a jerk, instead of my same self, be the better self, and I like films like that. I think it's a good warning to people, not saying that Krampus is really going to get you, but either way, the pride goes before the fall. You're going to fall if you're selfish. I mean, that's all there is to it. It doesn't, it's like I, said with you, it's like I can do a lot of things on my own and make a bunch of money on my own, but not to share it with somebody is just, it's what causes people to be insane. I think without other people, you're going to, and family's not always like your blood related family, right? People that are closer to you become your family because they're close to you. And I think if you don't share some of that love that you possess, I think you're gonna, I don't know, I'm not gonna say you're gonna die younger, but I think you're gonna die unhappy. How's that? How about it that way? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
It's like
you want to establish good relationships because what's a life worth living completely alone?
Exactly. And I think too, if we give up on people too fast a lot of times too, and I think that's an issue as well. And I like it that this film kind of gives that kind of message, but also also be entertaining as well. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect. People were like, when I first watched it, because the people were like, it's the better of the Krampus films that are out there. I'm like, this is a thing, isn't it? Yeah. And then you're like, people, well, what it is like when something gets popular, people want to make films about it. It's like when skateboarding got popular, make skateboarding films or whatever. Same thing with this. When Krampus got popular on the internet, people want to make Krampus films, and they made a lot of them. And most of them are complete garbage. And this is one that is actually really, really good because there was a lot of thought put into this. One thing, like I said, tell me about the cast. How do you feel about the cast?
I liked the cast. I liked how unlikable the cast was at first, too.
Exactly.
They did a really good job of establishing that these were unlikable characters, and then they all, found their way to make their relationship work. So
they band together against evil.
Yeah. And as for like the cast, like the casting of the cast, I feel like it worked really well. The little boy was a really good actor, and he seemed really wholesome.
Yeah.
The casting, the comedians, was definitely a good play as well.
Yeah, I that's one thing that stuck out to me. And like I said, Farrell and her role as Aunt Dorothy. I don't
She was
know.
one of my favorite characters. I liked how quiet, mysterious, but also loving and sincere Ami was too.
Right.
She was cast really well.
Mhm. And it's like I said, David Kirshner, of course, I've seen him in a lot of Will Ferrell films, and he's funny. And one of those, if you watch, is it The Anchor? What's that movie, The Anchor?
Anchorman.
Anchorman.
I think I've seen one of them, maybe.
Yeah, the first one's all right. The second one's just repeat of the first one. I'll be honest. I think it's so dumb and lame to like do sequels to comedies, because it's like once you see it the first time, what's the purpose? It's not like a novelty anymore, you know? It's like Anchorman's kind of a novelty. Talladega Nights is kind of a novelty. Those films are great to watch, you know, and that's good. But I hope they're not going to do another Talladega Nights. I'm okay with what they did, you know. It's funny. There's no reason to explore anymore, you know. All right, so of Christmas films, how do you feel about as a Christmas film? Where do you see that?
I think with the kind of person that I am and how I like non-traditional things, this might be my new favorite Christmas film.
Your new favorite?
Yeah, it was just so my parents watch the Hallmark Channel like year round. So of course, whenever it starts like November 1st, it's all traditional Christmas shows and everything. So it's very refreshing to get something different but it also, you know, still ties in with the holiday. So I was very happy with this one.
And I'm saying that I do have like my Christmas traditional films. Well, first of all, you know, I watch all the Mystery Science Theater Christmas shows, and then you got riff tracks as well, whatever Christmas stuff they have. But used to, and I've kind of gotten away from it, I used to watch Black Christmas every Christmas, and it's a Christmas horror film. I mean, it's basically one of my favorites, and there's so much nostalgia with it, because like people don't know that basically, according to Clark, who did Black Christmas, Halloween, you know, the movie Halloween, is the indirect sequel to Black Christmas. So a lot of setup for Halloween is, I like Black Christmas. It's very serious, very horror, but one thing that's very nostalgic is like, you know, like people acted in those days, because this was before like cell phones, and then everything was done over the phone. And it has that limit where they have to do the tracing calls back in those days and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of nostalgia with it, but it ends on a horror note. But I used to watch it every Christmas. I don't know. It's one of if I said, you know, look at a horror film, and of course they did a remake. Of course they may do a remake of everything. I've never seen the remake, but if you want to watch the original, it's 1974 when it came out, you can. And basically it's a guy who's been living, who escapes a mental asylum, and he's living in the attic of a sorority house. And
my gosh.
Yeah, and so that's the setup. And of course the Christmas holiday is coming up, and the campus is becoming empty, right? And because of the Christmas holidays. And so as these girls are packing, one is like getting picked off one by one, and till finally, of course, there's this. Of course, another thing too is it has some red herrings in it. Like for instance, like the protagonist's boyfriend and her are having a fight, so they're first thinking it's him and all this kind of thing. But it's a pretty good little film, and I love it. But there's also the detectives and the way police were back in those days. Because back in those days, police had to go through a lot of judicial things to investigate stuff like this. Nowadays, you know, we let police and FBI just run us over. We don't give a care. Sure, whatever. You can have my phone, whatever, blah, blah. You don't need a warrant for all that. But back in those days, man, they really put the, you know, judicial system put the thing to fire. And I'm all for that because I don't want, you know, like I told people, I said people make fun of like O.J. Simpson getting an offer and everything. But I'm telling you what, if I was on the stand, I want Johnny Cochran defending me. I want the best lawyer in town defending me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care
if you're in that position.
Exactly. If you're in that position, you want the best you can get. But anyways, it's a good little film, and I think about it every Christmas. So it's my Christmas traditional film. That's how sick and warping my mind is. But anyway. I'm sorry. I was like, when I was watching The Grinch, wait, I'm watching Black Christmas. Oh, it's a good Christmas film. Oh, it's wonderful. I'd say one of my brothers hates the fact that I'm into horror films, but I you know what the thing is I love about the horror films is like, yeah, 90% of them are garbage, but you'll get 10% or 1% that's like a little gem that sticks out, and it's like, wow, I'm so glad I found this. Like, I remember going to the DVD place or the rental places when I was a kid in VHS, and you get the film and you're thinking it's one thing and then it's another. And it's like, I love when that happened because some art guys thinking, okay, it's going to be like a Gremlin film. And then you get it. And it's like, no, this is not like a Gremlin film. This is like a good film. And it's, you get those rarities. A lot of people don't understand it. It's like, I tell people, it's like you make fun of the horror genre because you have not watched a lot of horror films. I have, and I can like say, well, that one's good and that one's garbage and this is good. Yeah, and there's a lot of them that do tropes, and that's fine. Like we were talking about the Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, that's really where the first trope came, and people were like, I'm just gonna make another Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, the old man go, don't you go into the alley house. Don't you dare go there. Why? Strange things are happening there. And what do the kids do? They go to the alley. Of course,
that's the first thing they do.
Yeah, first thing. It's like, and that's a trope where you're like, oh, dude, enough of that. Then every once in a while, you'll get one that has like this super hot chick in there, and she's got handling a snake or something. You put it in, and it's actually a really decent horror film. You know, it's like basically something that you've never seen before. Like I said, a good one is The Gate. The Gate's a wonderful horror film. But when you look at it, everything, oh, that's just another Gremlins ripoff. Well, have you actually seen it? No, it's actually good, like Krampus. Because this is a bad thing. I think the reason why this film hurt financially is because there were so many Krampus films out there. And when people say, oh, the Krampus film, they're like, you mean the dumb one with the guy and the dumb actors and the really cheap CGI effects? No, this is really good. And you try to explain to them. What are you going to do? So for a change, we actually picked a good film. Which is very rare. With that being said, we always ask, who would you recommend this film to?
I think that I would recommend this film to any families that are struggling to get into the Christmas spirit. It's a good one.
I would say horror fans. And, like people who like Gremlins and Army of Darkness. I think
anyone wanting a non-traditional Christmas movie, because it made me very happy.
As like what'd you say? Who watches non-traditional?
I don't know.
So for change, guys, we actually kind of agree on a good one for change, and I think that's wonderful. Of course, with Christmas films, it's hard to go bad. I think we did Nightmare Before Christmas. We all liked that one. I mean, we could go on to some bad ones. And all right, so this is good film, guys. I'll check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll watch a little bit. Kiddo got a few more minutes before we got to go get off here. We'll talk a little bit. So bye, guys.
Bye.
Who's your daddy?